Hi guys, this is my review of my 118 Lamborghini Murcielago LP670-4 SV. And basically I'm just going to go over a few bits and bobs about the car. Not into huge detail, just kind of an overview if you like. So yeah, it actually took Norev quite a long time to finally release this model. It was first made available by Mr. Collection Models, I believe. And then was later made available by Auto Art, and they'd actually been around for quite a long time before this one actually appeared. This particular model caused quite a lot of controversy, to be honest, and sparked a lot of debate. Some people loved it and some people hated it. To be completely honest with you, I think this is a beautiful 118 scale model. But perhaps I'm being slightly biased, as this is actually my favourite supercar and has been since I was about 13 years old. So starting with the paint, it's very bright and very vibrant and very nice actually. That's all there is to say about it really. I mean, I think it looks great. As a comparison to the standard LP640 by just Maisto, I think, I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, but there's quite a difference. The Norev just looks like it has that slight advantage over it in terms of quality, and the colour really does come through. And that's quite a big thing coming from a guy that's actually seen it in person. Yeah, that's me. So yeah, it does look much closer to the original colour of the actual car, which is great. I mean, that's what you want from a model, isn't it? The metallic flakes in the bright orange make it shine very nicely, and there are actually metallic flakes in it which you probably can't see. But yeah, it just gives it that better shine effect, especially under light, to be honest. It's only when you kind of start to look at it in much more detail when some of the flaws become noticeable about this model. To be honest, I don't really consider them to be problems or flaws, as I just referred to them, because, to be honest, who spends their time, you know, looking at these things with a magnifying glass, specifically looking for faults? I don't know if you do, but I don't. So the only reason I'm going to name these things is because you guys probably don't want to hear a biased, one-sided review about the model, because that's not really what a review is all about. And it's not very constructive, is it? So, yeah. First things first is the entire engine cover and rear section of the car are actually finished in matte black, whereas on the real car it's actually carbon fibre. So Norev didn't actually attempt to make it even look like carbon. But then again, like I just said, who's really going to notice these things? I mean, when I'm looking at this car from a distance, I'm not going to see it, and I'm not like really anal about attention. You know, it's a Murcielago SV, you can see that. So yeah, it's not really a big problem. I understand that the rear lights on the Norev Murcielago LP640 weren't that great, but on the SV they've actually improved that massively. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a better angle of it so that you can see. I'm not sure if you can see that properly, but yeah, they have been improved actually when I've seen some reviews of this car. The side of the car, I've got to be honest, I mean, it looks fantastic. As opposed to some of my other Murcielago models, the ride height, especially I think on this car, is pretty much bang on. I mean, if I go a bit lower down, it's pretty much sitting on the wheel arches, how it should. If you see there, I mean, obviously these kind of cars are very close to the ground like that. And then if I compare it again to the Maisto, I mean, look at the ride height on that. It's almost like it's got the nose lift up. But yeah, the Norev, I've got to admit, I mean, I think it's pretty good, to be honest. I think also on the Auto Art LP670s, I think I've read some reviews where they actually insist on the brake calipers they don't actually match the exterior colour of the car. I think they insist on them being yellow all the time, which personally I'm not a big fan of, because if I had this car in Verde Ithaca or something, or a green, or the baby blue, something like that, what they're saying is that I've got to have the calipers in yellow, and that just means there's no style for style's sake and there's no colour coordination, which I don't agree with, even on, you know, real cars. It just makes the colour scheme look like a mess and like it's all over the place, to be honest. So that's a good job by Norev, actually having these colour coordinated with the exterior of the car, I think. So yeah, really positive so far. I think the next thing to speak about is actually the SV logo on the car. I've always personally preferred the Murcielago SV with the small logo. I just think it looks a bit more sophisticated and doesn't give off so much of the in-your-face type effect that the huge logo has that some of you may have seen. So this logo is perfect for me, and again it's like the actual car that I did see, which has got the small logo. Ever since I saw it when I was like 12, 13 years old, I've always preferred it with the small logo, no question of that. So yeah, for my personal needs, this is the exact car that I would have, the exact spec, and I just think the small logo looks better. It just gives the car that more classy look, sleek, mean, aggressive, evil, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, and the sticker itself is actually pretty decent. I don't know if you can... oh, it's gone a bit blurry, but... there we go. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look like a sticker, if I'm honest with you. So, I would say they've done a pretty good job on that. The only thing I would say for you guys is that the LP670-4 SV badge, which is that one there, is actually just a small sticker. It could have been done better, but again, this isn't an issue for me personally. The car sits amongst a collection which I have going on, which is the Lamborghini V12 timeline. So I don't really look at these cars with a magnifying glass in my spare time for faults and flaws. I just sort of, you know, come in to see all these cars all together. So yeah, it's an SV, like I said before, and you can tell that immediately. Only if you pay really anal attention to detail will you notice if you're that much of a model, I don't want to say the word geek, but just model guy. That's the more polite way to say it. I mean, these things really aren't important to me personally, but again, I'm pointing these things out for you guys because some of you do mind little details like this. So yeah. At the front of the car, the luggage compartment, it doesn't actually open, but I just take the plastic off from the inside when I get the model, so that I can see the car in all its glory without all these plastic bits and everything getting in the way. And then I reseal the box so I can see it through the plastic windows and whatnot of the box. So I don't actually remove it from the packaging anyway, so this doesn't bother me in the slightest, to be honest with you, unless you have your models kind of out of the box and you like to, you know, see all of the panels up, the doors for example, engine cover, then that's something to bear in mind, is that you can't actually lift the luggage up. But I don't think that's a huge issue, or would be a huge issue for you guys anyway, because with cars like this, we all know the boot is small, you can't really get much in there, so I don't think you would want that up anyway, because it would spoil all the lines of the cars, and the aerodynamics, you know, just showing the actual shape of the car. So what you would have up is the kind of signature Lambo scissor doors, if you like, and the engine cover to show the massive V12. I mean, that's what you'd be looking at really, I think. When you lift up the compartments, you wouldn't be looking at, wow, look at the boot space in there. So, yeah, but just to bear in mind, it doesn't open, actually. what else is there to speak about? Yes. The interior of the Norev models is sorry, you can't really see it here because, like I said, I don't actually open my boxes, only to take the plastic out, because I don't want the model to get, you know, dusty and damaged and stuff. But yeah, the interior is a bit on the cheap side, you could say. It is quite similar, I have to warn you, to kind of Maisto. But like I said, I don't actually open the panels on this, so it doesn't really bother me. I just like looking at the exterior of the models. I don't really look at the interior. It's about the outside of the car, especially with a car like this. I don't really pay much attention to the interior of this model. I would just look at the, you know, things like that huge rear wing, the black air intakes here, you know, those signature wheels, the front splitter, you know, and of course the engine, which is pretty beastly, if I'm honest. But yeah, what I would say actually about this is just to remember that you're paying much less for this model than you are for, let's say, an Auto Art SV. So overall, I don't think we can really say this is a bad model at all. In fact, I think it's a pretty damn good, and everything I expected it to be, and more. So yeah, for the price, you know, it's really not bad at all. The engine, on the other hand, is actually very, very nicely detailed. And again, you can't see it here because I don't open the box, but there's actually some copper paint on the inside. Yeah, on the inside, on the exhaust manifolds. So you can clearly see that once you open it up. And the Lamborghini scripting, which I don't know if you can really see that. Oh yeah, there we go. It also looks quite good, to be honest. I mean, it's much better than Maisto, you know, it's up there. So that's great, really. And the make or break for me, though, which I didn't even know before I purchased the model, is that the vents, these vents here, if you don't know the Lamborghini Murcielago, when you're driving along and you reach a certain speed, these vents here open up to increase the air inflow, air intake, which then goes into the engine to cool it, essentially. And finally, there's a model where these actually open, which just so happens to be this one. So yeah, they open, and it looks pretty cool. I believe this is the first to do it after a lot of demand. That's why, you know, they do now open. They're arguably one of the coolest features on the car, besides that huge rear spoiler. But there is a but. Unfortunately, you actually have to open the engine cover for these sills to open up. So you can't put it back in the box like this and have those air intakes up as if the car's travelling at speed. Unfortunately, you would have to have the whole engine cover up to bring these up. So that's the only issue there. I mean, there's kind of like advantages and disadvantages. You get that with everything, really. But I would say, you know, it's an improvement, but they haven't quite nailed it here. There's not really much point having these open if they only open when the engine cover's up. I would say that people who buy these cars think it looks cool with the air vents up, which is why there's so much demand, and they would want to see it in its natural form with the air intakes up. They wouldn't want to see it, you know, with the air intakes up and the whole engine cover up, because, well, the car doesn't drive along with the engine cover up just to have the vents open, so you get my drift. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool feature to see, but it just means you have to have the engine cover up. Important thing to tell you about this model is that it's actually no longer in production, so mine is now pretty rare, I think. I have also just bought myself a Mr. Collection models Lamborghini Murcielago LP670-4 SV, but this has the fixed rear wing this time, so I'll be doing a review of that too. But back to this one. You know, it may have some issues to you, but talking about money, Norev actually sold this car for about 45 euros, or you could probably get them cheaper if you look in the right places, I'm not sure. But then think about that, and the auto arts are going for about 110 euros, so that's more than double the price. At the end of the day, it's up to you which one you would choose, but from a critical point of view, and even owning an auto art myself, which is the LP570-2 Valentino Balboni, there it is, you really do get a lot of car and model for your money, compared to the auto art, if I'm honest. In all fairness, it's not that far off auto art in terms of quality, really. And again, you know, it doesn't justify the price difference, really, between this and the auto art. I mean, if you look at that, and then look at that, I mean, yeah, there is a difference, but it's not like looking at this and then looking at a Maisto, is it? I mean, so, I don't know if it, I just don't think it justifies that price tag. So this, yeah, I think it's brilliant, really. It's cheaper, it looks roughly the same quality, you could argue. There are some flaws as opposed to the auto art, of course, but as I said before, if you don't pay anal attention to these things, then, you know, who's going to notice? So yeah, overall, a great model that exceeded all of my expectations, and still gives me the fizz every time I walk into my room and set my eyes on it. So, yeah, that's my favourite car. It's my favourite model at the moment. Oh, one more thing to mention is on this, inside on the little stand, I think this is I'm a graphic designer, so I love all the attention to detail, and I think this is just a lovely little touch, you know. I mean, just the fact that instead of doing it kind of like Maisto, which is just, you know, some other typeface, Norev have decided not to do that, and on the actual stand, if you did take this car out, you could have it with the actual Lamborghini scripted text to show the logo, the actual Murcielago text, which is actually on the inside of the door sills when you open the doors, and the SV is the same as the SV logo, so it's all coordinated and matching and brilliant. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this helps you guys. And for more reviews and overviews of cars, especially my Mr. Collection SV when it arrives, subscribe to my channel, like, and yeah, hope you like it. Take care.